Hello and welcome to Yerushalmi Berachos Daf Ayin Aleph. We are in the seventh parak talking about the halachas of Zimun, and the Mishnah tells us that if people ate prohibited foods, even though they technically were eating and their mouths were moving, but that doesn't count for the bracha. So, for example, aval achal tevel, if they were eating tevel or somebody was eating tevel, u'ma'aser rishon shelo niftu trumasa, which again these are prohibited things. Ma'aser sheni v'hektish shelo niftu. So, in all these cases, it doesn't count. So it's an interesting thing that even though they were eating, it doesn't really count. So there's a whole machlokas, as we mentioned earlier, and we'll talk about it more also Be'ez Hashem in this parak, about whether Zimun is like a part of the benching or if it's a preamble to benching. But basically, the Rambam in Hilchos Berachos says explicitly that even when it comes to the halachas of Berachos Hamazon, one cannot make a bracha on eating food that's not supposed to be consumed, and one that includes a bracha rishona and bracha achrona. The Riven and the Rush actually argue with this, and they say that it's true that a person who ate the Riven is there in Hilchos Berachos, where he argues with the Rambam, and the Rush is in Maseches Berachos Os Zion Beis. So he says that yes, it's true. The Mishnah says that one who eats prohibited food can't count towards the Zimun. However, they would still have to bench, and they would still be mechayev to bench. And this is a big machlokes poskim, exactly how this works. There's a very interesting discussion about what the Yerushalmi means here, as to whether we'll see this Gemara later. But Taz has a whole shot as well. For example, not for the scope of here, but there's a whole discussion in the poskim also whether if somebody eats tray food, if they make a bracha as well, because Hashem doesn't give you permission to eat tray food, so why should you make a bracha on it? And most poskim say that one does not. Of course, hopefully in most cases a person's not doing that on purpose. So then the question becomes, let's say somebody's eating food that is treif for medicinal purposes, that's also a shiloh. Or if somebody's eating on Yom Kippur, of course we know that they do make a bracha because the food itself isn't the Isser, it's the Achila of Yom Kippur, but for them it's mutter. So a lot of interesting stuff. Lastly, I want to leave off that there's machlokes. It's very, very complicated how to read it. If you want to look, there's different girsos, but basically the question is, when are you considered part of the Zimun? Meaning, what does that mean? So the Gemara says that mostly on, it's very short Amud, but basically it's machlokes between two Amoraim. One of them says, as soon as a group decides they want to eat together, they're called the Zimun. And they decide they want to eat together, which seems to imply that even if somehow they don't end up eating together, it's still enough that since they were koveya themselves, so now they can bench. And then the other one says that, and of course, even if you didn't decide to eat together, if you just end up eating a kazayas together, then that also counts. And again, there's a lot of discussions here, like let's say two people are eating and then the third person comes later and he eats with one of them but not with both of them. Does that count? Etc. A lot of people are making on these things. And the other opinion says that no. If you ate together, that's called beginning the meal together, all three of them. Or if you finished eating together, that's also. So that das of just thinking about sitting down doesn't really count. And again, there's a whole discussion as to what the Yerushalmi actually means. Way beyond the scope here, there's a famous Rabbeinu Yonah in Berachos that has a whole shot over here. If you look at the Charedim again, he really just cuts through a sugya in a brilliant, brilliant way. Mamish. Rabbanit Sarfas, he says, and Rabbeinu Yonah, and the Rush, they all say, they explain the Gemara one way, that it's asking the same kasha as the Bavli, and then there's a whole different mahalach that says that it's not discussing the question of the Bavli at all. But again, the contrast of what Bavli and Yerushalmi are saying is just fascinating. Ayin Sham, I hope you have a great day.